I'm Margaret Ann Windsor, and the name I have to use is Peggy Ann Dempsey Childers. I married a Childers. I was kidnapped in 41 and brought to Moulton, Alabama, Lawrence County, and given the name of a twin, Peggy Ann Dempsey, born out of wedlock she was, and both twins were killed by their mother, Lina, and they covered it up. The family covered it up. It's been a cover-up of all proportion, the greatest proportion. Anyway, I show Mr. Flint because he flew me out there in a campaign in '83 when Larry McDonald, U.S. Congressman doctor I wrote about in the medical malpractice book, had a letter from the FBI, U.S. Attorney Harper, ongoing investigation, national security involved. I was writing about mind control used to kill, murder, program people, their decision-making, etc. And I was almost killed April Fool's Day of '80. Mr. Flint was shot in Lawrenceville, Georgia, while I was doing the book at Moonraker Apartments in Marietta, Georgia. I was almost killed April Fool's Day of '80. This is my dad. I found out later about my kidnapping, Edward VIII. It's my dad, a beautiful man. History has recorded the biggest lies. My dad was a beautiful man. Honest, they had to take him out. And then I was a plus, I suppose, to them, to the Jews, Rothschilds, Bilderbergers, who married, the Rothschilds did, into my uncle George, the illegal six, who helped take down my father and kidnap me. His wife was, and Elizabeth's mother, she's illegal, or kin to the Rothschilds, but there's more to it than that, the Freemason Illuminati. My dad never married this woman, Wallace Simpson. She married a look-alike, a double. My own uncle helped with my kidnapping. This is Roosevelt. And he had appointed Kennedy, Joe Kennedy, ambassador in 1936 when my grandfather, George V, died. I wonder if he was murdered in all this mess. My father assumed the crown and married Claudia Ruth O'Keefe Windsor. My dad never married this woman. That was all orchestrated by the New World Order, the Freemasons, the global government in place. This woman has done nothing to make things right. She sold out my country. He sold out my country. And now I want to tell this. I was doing a book when Larry Flint was shot in Lawrenceville. Almost killed, had a letter from the FBI, and I'm leaving out all the other. I've given it on YouTube, Instagram. I'm kind of shut down at the moment. I'm not sure I can get this up on everything else. But I did want to say this. I told about patterns being used, like the Virginia Tech, the list, the book about that Chet Betlinger wrote about the black killings in Atlanta and Wayne Williams. I was writing about all that back then. And then, well, it's been ongoing. When I came here, the Virginia Tech, and that was patterns used in that one. They're programmed to kill and to shoot themselves. A lot of them looks like suicide, which is mind control and programming. They're victims. So the Fort Hood shooter was a psychiatrist. He finished school at Blacksburg, Virginia Tech, etc. He was born in Roanoke, Benton here. Anyway, he's on death row. So this is what they've done with it. They stole everything from my father, kidnapped me, and have tortured me every day of my life, and my sons Mark and Scott, who are heirs after me. And I am the legal heir, Queen Victoria II, which I have told since I found out about my birthright in late '83, and the Brits told me, and the Germans, and the Americans here, all a bunch of them know it. Okay, what I want to get to here to make sure if anybody's listening to this, because it just might affect you. And that's what the FBI told me back then. He yawned, and that was '82, I believe, or '81. It was cold. I was down there, and he yawned and pretended to be bored. And he said, you know what you do with all this? You bore people. It's only when they find out how it affects them that they care. So here's where I wanted to get to. I came here in '86, Roanoke, and Trouttville, Virginia, and off on Mountain Pass Road back then in '92, there was an entrance right there off Mountain Pass up to Full Heart Knob. It's that old Appalachian Trail. They built a new entrance on Mountain Pass the other end a little later that next year, I believe, or in '93. Anyway, I walked and starved along the trail and up at Full Heart Knob. Nobody wanted to come involved. I put all this up on YouTube and Instagram and Facebook. What I wanted to get to is I found out nobody doubted it. What I was telling is I was told they just didn't want to get involved. After all, I'm a Brit, right? So, you know, it's okay to steal it from us way back then. Then it's okay to take down my father and do the horrible things to him and my mother, who, by the way, was American, and kidnap me and torture me and my son. So this is the real America you don't see and don't care to, because the image would be crushed. So what I wanted to get to was, I'm allergic to chemicals. I have an immune disorder, and when I'm around toxic fumes, my immune system attacks itself. And over the years, the inflammation has taken out. That's been used to run me. And I've quoted all this in past videos and everything. A Virginia State Trooper who retired, who said it, his wife. And I use that because they made my word no good. So I can't get an attorney. And look what they've done to Europe, the UK. The Americans did it. They went over and destabilized the Middle East, and that's exactly what's going on. It's the global government that Hillary and Elizabeth and Bill Clinton and your presidents from way back, other than Jimmy Carter, are a part of it. So I wanted to get to this. In the patterns, I told about my son's Mark and Scott's names were used, the synchronicity, etc., etc. The Tucson, Arizona, with Gabby Gifford, whose husband is Mark Kelly, astronaut, identical twin to Scott Kelly, astronaut. That was a mind control shooting there. The Grand Theater in Aurora, Colorado. So I could go on and name them, and there's actors that have been killed using it, and deliberately done in patterns, because mind control is invisible. Now I want to get to last year and leave out all, because I can't put it up here on this video, and I have to give too much background if I start out again. I was getting just about killed because I was driven back out on the old Appalachian Trail I'm speaking of, off Mountain Pass, Trouttville, Virginia, Botetourt County. And it was horrifying, but they burned formaldehyde, which is illegal, and I can't hardly walk. I met, after about the fourth day, and I fell and crushed my shoulder and everything, the rotary in it. And anyway, I met Angela, and she was just hiking, I thought, and had a dog named Colby, as in CIA Director Colby, who was killed when his boat or canoe overturned. And I said way back then, it's where I was and what I was doing, that was the mind control murder of the patterns. Anyway, I'm going to fast forward to this year, January the 1st. Angela came and got me, brought me back out to where I'd lived before, but they were remodeling, and I had to leave because of the chemicals used. And it was Motel 6 off Williamson Road. It had been Stay Out Inn. And then she took me out to her home, and he shot me when it was just half a mile down from the entrance where I had met her on Mountain Pass, and had last seen Nathan Boyle, who lives on Windsor Street. So you get where I'm going with the patterns. I'm Margaret Ann Windsor. I'm Queen Victoria II, heir to the British Crown. And she lived a half a mile down. Well, what I didn't know was her last name. Her name is Angelia Queen, and her husband's name's Brett Queen, if they've told me the truth. You can Google it, so I'm not telling anything that isn't public knowledge. What I'm saying here is, when I started finding out their names and all of this, because Nathan, that's the last time I saw him, was when I met her last year.